Marriage, an archaic form of bondage and slavery, a very archaic and obsolete form of intimate relationships in the world. And marriage is an international phenomenon. It's pretty much always been that way. No matter if you're talking about North America, South America, Europe, Asia, what have you, so on and so forth. Marriage is something that is a universal blight on humanity. And I'm going to explain why marriage is not only a bad idea, but it's intellectually, factually incorrect in this day and age within our society. And I want to be very clear about something. Marriage is not good for either men or women. Marriage is especially not good for men, but it's not good for either gender. For women, marriage it's a form of slavery. It's paperwork that signs a woman over to a man indefinitely. The term husband initially meant the owner of a wife. Owner as in you are the master of your wife. You are the master of the bitch that you decided to be stupid and get married to. And that definition hasn't changed because marriage hasn't changed. It's the same as it's always been. So for women, it's not something that's a good life choice. Yet women are taught that marriage is something that they should pursue and something that they should want. And they are programmed this way from an early age. And marriage also isn't good for men because they could end up losing not just their livelihood. If you have any kids, you can end up losing your kids over marriage. If you are married to a person for, I believe, 10 years, the woman in the relationship is entitled to a portion of your retirement check. And so marriage can mess with your livelihood on that level as well. So marriage is not good for either men or women. I want to discuss what the original purpose of marriage was. When marriage was first introduced, the point was to protect women. If you wanted to seek sex with a woman, with a female, you essentially had to sign off on paperwork to request permission in order to be with a woman on that level. And that was back in the day. Now, sex is considered to be not a taboo subject, but rather a normalcy of life. Sex before marriage is more common now than it ever has been in the past, which is another reason why marriage today, in the modern day, is a waste of time and a bad decision. Marriage, the original purpose of marriage was to protect women. Women don't need nor want that kind of protection in the modern day. But there's another issue, a more prominent issue with marriage, and that's the fact that people are programmed and raised to believe that marriage equals love. That if you marry someone, you love them. And this is a falsehood. This is a lie. Just because you marry someone doesn't mean you love them. That's why nearly half of all marriages within the United States alone fails. The divorce rate is high. Now it's lower in other parts of the world whose society is not as advanced as North America's, but that's besides the point. There are thousands of divorces per year, and there's a bunch of statistics that explain why marriage is not a good idea. And all it takes is a simple Google search to find these things. But let's talk about exactly what love is, because a lot of people don't understand nor know what that word means, what it actually means. Some people think that love is about someone having your back, someone whom you can place your trust and your faith into. This is not the case. That is not what love is. That's just a basic friendship. That's not love. Acquaintances who aren't friends can do that. Some people truly believe that marriage and relationships and even sex is love. Relationships and marriage, and especially sex, which is a natural human need for most people, relationships, marriage, and sex are not love. That's not what love is. That's never been what love is. Love is one word and one word only, and that is oxytocin. Oxytocin is a hormone, a chemical that's produced in the brain that lets someone know that they feel emotionally close to someone. Oxytocin is what allows a mother to know that she cares about her child, or a woman know that she cares about a man. Oxytocin is science. It's biology. It is not no spiritual anything. So the whole talk of people who believe in nonsense such as soulmates is just ridiculous.
Do you know what love is? A chemical. Electrons in your brain sending signals.
Soulmates, there are no soulmates in life. If you want to believe in fate, if you want to believe in destiny, fine. But soulmates is not a tangible idea. The idea of a soulmate is bullshit. You can have an intimate relationship with a multitude of different people. It depends on who you know and where you are in your life. But there are no soulmates. The people who believe that kind of Hollywood bullshit is usually the people who end up in a courtroom for a divorce proceeding. So now that I've discussed what love is, and now that I've discussed the original purpose of marriage, I want to talk about some of the reasons why marriage is a terrible, terrible idea for anybody. Men, women, whomever. The best way to prove whether something is correct or incorrect is through statistics, because statistics is factual evidence. It's proof, tangible proof. And so I'm going to go down a list of statistics for marriage. And these statistics matter because they are factors that determine whether a marriage succeeds or whether it fails. And so starting with the first one. Number one, if you're a married American, your marriage is between 40 and 50% likely to end in divorce. And that's not good. Number two, if you live in a red state, which is a Republican state, you're 27% more likely to get divorced than if you live in a blue state, which is a Democratic state. Number three, if you argue with your spouse about finances once a week, your marriage is 30% more likely to end in divorce than if you argue with your spouse about finances less frequently. And there's a lot of couples that argue about that kind of thing. Number four, if your parents were divorced, you're at least 40% more likely to get divorced than if they weren't. If your parents married others after divorcing, you're 91% more likely to get divorced. Number five, if only one partner in your marriage is a smoker, you're 75% to 91% more likely to get a divorce than smokers who are married to fellow smokers. Number six, if you have a daughter, you're nearly 5% more likely to divorce than if you have a son. Number seven, if you're an evangelical Christian adult who has been married, there's a 26% likelihood that you've been divorced compared to a 28% chance for Catholics and a 38% chance for non-Christians. Number eight, if you live in Wayne County, Indiana, and are over 15 years old, there's a 19.2% chance that you've been divorced. Number nine, if you and your partner have had previous marriages, you're 90% more likely to get divorced than if this had been the first marriage for both of you. Number 10, if you're a woman 2 or more years older than your husband, your marriage is 53% more likely to end in divorce than if he was 1 year younger or 3 years older. That's a big statistic. Number 11, if you're of below average intelligence, you're 50% more likely to get divorced than those of above average intelligence. Makes sense. Number 12, if you've been diagnosed with cervical cancer, your likelihood of getting divorced is 40% higher than standard rates. It's 20% higher if you've been diagnosed with testicular cancer. Number 13, if you have twins or triplets, your marriage is 17% more likely to end in divorce than if your children are not multiple births. This next one is a big one. 14, if you're a female serial cohabiter, a woman who has lived with more than one partner before your first marriage, then you're 40% more likely to get divorced than women who have never done so. Finally, number 15, a statistic for homosexuals. If you're in a male same-sex marriage, it's 50% more likely to end in divorce than a heterosexual marriage. If you're in a female same-sex marriage, this figure soars to 167%. And I'll probably make a video on homosexuality because people who are homosexuals choose to be homosexuals. No one is born homosexual. And being a homosexual is not a good thing for a lot of different reasons. And I'm going to make a video explaining why if you choose to be a homosexual, you're a dumbass. But that's another video for another time. Now back to this video and the topic. The reason these statistics matter is because they are factual evidence that it takes a lot of different unknown factors for a marriage to succeed. And the more factors that you have stacked up against you, the higher chance that you have of your marriage failing. That's not even really why marriage is a bad idea. The reason it's a bad idea is because if a marriage fails, the repercussions for both men and women can be devastating, and they can very much be permanent. And that's the main reason why marriage is a bad idea. Not necessarily because, once again, the factors that could potentially be involved depending on who you are and who the person is that you marry, and a multitude of other different factors, such as if there are any children involved, your finances, the country that you live in, so on and so forth. The main reason why marriage is a terrible idea is because, once again, the fallout can be devastating if it doesn't work. And the percentage for a marriage not working is too high for it to really be a worthwhile risk. Now, life within of itself is about risk. Life is all about risk taking. It's all about competing with other people and coming out on top. And if you consistently are able to do that in life, then life will be something that you can enjoy. But marriage is something that, once again, it's an archaic form of cohabitation between men and women. It doesn't make any sense statistically. And when it comes to love, love isn't about marriage or relationships or sex either, as I explained earlier in the video. So, with all that said, this video isn't meant to encourage anyone not to get married. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit what people do with their lives at all. Your life is your own choice. Whatever you choose to do in your life is your choice. That is on you. The purpose of the video isn't to encourage. The purpose of the video is to inform. These are the reasons why marriage is a terrible idea. Now, you choose to get married all you want. This video is not going to stop anyone from getting married. I already know that. Nor do I give a shit. Just know that if you do watch this video and you do get married, when you probably inevitably will get a divorce, just know that you knew the consequences of your actions when you made your choice in the first place. If you're a man and you made that initial choice to bend the knee and submit to a female and pretty much hand over your livelihood and your time and your capability to someone you really shouldn't trust, and it ends in divorce, it's your fault. And if you're a woman and you decided to accept a man's promise to make you happy, and he ends up cheating on you or beating you or separating you from your family, then it's your fault for being stupid. And that's really the message of this video. You are responsible for your own fuckery. And marriage is indeed nothing but fuckery.